Well, I think what we saw after the trough in April was consistent growth out of the trough, and it really reflected the fact that people really want to travel, and when they have the chance to, and when they're allowed to, and when they feel safe doing it, they will do it. And we essentially saw a wide-ranging growth out of the bottom that was across the globe. It was stronger in certain places than others, depending on restrictions. We saw more local travel, more domestic travel, but on balance, we saw a huge interest in traveling. So while it's impossible to predict the course of the virus, and certainly there is every evidence that we will see some blips up, and it will be a bumpy recovery, I think people really want to travel, and when they can, they will, and we're confident that that will mean good things for the travel industry in the future. In the meantime, we all have to do the best we can to get through it. As I emphasized yesterday, we're very internally focused on working on a bunch of opportunities to help the customer, help our suppliers. That is where our energy is going, and we're keenly focused on being, much, much stronger and more profitable when things normalize on the other side of the virus.
Now, one bright spot for you has been vacation rentals, growth in Vrbo, your home rental platform. The market is trying to understand, Peter, whether this is a temporary or permanent shift away from hotels. Airbnb CEO Brian Chesky telling us a couple weeks ago that this is a permanent shift. He's obviously going to say that. Do you agree with him?
No, I don't. He said a few things I don't agree with, though I respect him and the company very much. I would say what we've seen is people going, travel's like water. It finds its way. And if people can't go international, they go domestic. If they can't go domestic, if they can't fly, they drive. And right now, the alternative accommodation approach has been very attractive to people, especially at Vrbo, where we are focused on the whole home experience. And so people have felt quite comfortable renting a house for their family or their extended family and having a longer than usual holiday, or moving their whole family for a month to a new location. So that's been a great leader for us, and frankly, a very strong business, notwithstanding the virus. But I don't think there is anything to suggest that we are seeing any kind of permanent change in travel behavior. Even now, we're seeing hotels continue to tick up. It's been slower. I think people are trying to get comfortable, and people in different parts of the world are comfortable to different extents. But there's absolutely nothing we've seen that suggests that there is a long-term change in how people will travel or their behavior. And frankly, I think the best thing that's happened for us is people have gotten a lot of exposure to our Vrbo brand. They've seen the appeal of the whole home experience, so I hope more people will avail themselves of it. But I don't think that's because definitionally alternative is better than hotel or hotel is better than alternative. They're all good solutions depending on what your use case is. And so we think, it's been great for Vrbo, but I'm not a believer that anything's changed long term.
You said you didn't agree with a lot of what Chesky said. Anything else there? And do you think that means Airbnb's path to an IPO will be somewhat complicated?
No, I think they'll be totally fine. But I was told that he said something about cities being less popular as travel destinations in the future, and that people are discovering national parks and other things like that, and going to lesser populated places. And I just think, everyone's still going to go to Paris and Rome and New York. People said after 9/11 that nobody would travel, and New York was ruined forever. And of course, it had the biggest real estate boom, 20-year real estate boom, and travel, of course, came back and grew consistently. So I'm just avoiding making any long-term prognostications. I think travel will be fine. I think people will go back to the places they love. And if people have discovered some new places, that's awesome. It's better for everybody and better for the travel experience if we spread the travelers out across the globe. But I don't think, I'm not worried for New York or Rome or Paris or, pick your favorite city. So.
Good to hear. Peter, it's Sarah Eisen. Question on pricing in the second half of the year. What are your expectations on promotions and whether that will be a driver of whether people decide to book vacations?
Yeah, well, thanks, Sarah. I think what we've seen is where there is very high demand, like in the alternative accommodation space, pricing has been quite strong, and people have been able to push price. Suppliers have been able to push price in locations where demand is high.